let's talk about the Rockett Audio Design's Analog Preamp Experiment, or APE, pedal. I'm Reed, and this is Man Cave Guitar Pedal Mania. Now, I love guitar pedals. That's why I started this channel. I collect them as a hobby. I have a lot of them. But even I get tired of buying overdrive and distortion pedals, so I'm always on the lookout for something different. The APE definitely fits that bill. So what is it? Well, it's an Echoplex EP3 in a box. Sort of. I think it's a great pedal, but it has some limitations. So let's go through it. First off, what does it do? Well, if you only have this pedal, all it does is act as a signal boost. As I understand it from their documentation, it boosts a 9-volt signal to a 22.5-volt signal. So it provides a little more openness and higher headroom. And that's it. There's no adjustable functions. It's simply on and off. However, if you take a digital delay and you run it through the send and return loop jacks, and you have a loop on-off function, that turns your digital delay into an Echoplex style delay. Now that's a fascinating concept. You have to set your digital delay to 100% wet and a single repeat. Your delay pedal controls the time on the repeats, and the APE controls the number of repeats, and also you can affect the character of the repeats, make them a little darker, make them a little brighter. Now that is a major limitation. By itself, this pedal doesn't do much. You need to have another pedal to connect it to. I think that's going to limit the target audience. If you were to buy another delay pedal, just to pick one, a Flashback 2 Mini is about $120. Well, like all boutique pedals, Rockett Audio sells most of their pedals for $200. So now your $200 pedal is $320. Now that's retail. You can get it used or you can get it at discount from multiple online sources. But for $320, you have a lot of options in the delay world, so that is really something to consider. However, if you already own a digital delay and you really are thinking that you would like a good Echoplex sounding delay pedal, well, then maybe the APE is the pedal for you. Let's plug it in and go through some sounds. On my pedal board, the signal chain goes from this Walrus Audio, that's a Deep 6 compressor and Voyager overdrive, into this PSA 2 preamp, and then into the APE. I'm using a Boss DD500 as my delay. We'll go through that more when we talk about the delay functions. And finally, the RV500 is supplying my reverb. All of that is being controlled with a Boss ES8 loop switcher. Okay, here is the clean sound. Let's add the APE. So it definitely has an effect. Now, how much of an effect, though? Well, some. You can hear it. But you can't control it. It just does that one thing. This is it. Now, as a home player, I'm very concerned with my volume level. If you're playing with a tube or valve amp and you turn up the volume, you naturally get compression and increased sustain. Because I play at low volumes, I almost always have a compression pedal on. In this case, the Walrus Audio Deep 6. I thought maybe the APE would serve a similar purpose. So let's compare the two. This is completely clean. And So they are similar. Now, noticeably, the compressor introduces a lot more noise into the signal than the APE does, so that's a point in the APE's favor. Now, my personal preference is that I actually like the way the compressor sounds better. But another question is, how do the two of them sound together? So again, dry. I shouldn't say dry, I've got reverb on. Unaffected. This is just with the APE. And now with the APE and the compressor. Alright, that's usable. Now what about with a little overdrive? This is where I think we're starting to run into the limitations of the APE as a booster. So, here's with the APE. And here's with the Walrus Audio Voyager. So, APE. Walrus Audio. Now, this is with the Walrus Audio Voyager into the APE. So just the APE by itself? Just the Voyager by itself? Both of them? I don't think that's very good. And it gets worse if you use a distortion pedal. Now, off camera, I've got a TC Electronic Dark Matter. It's easily available, it's inexpensive, and it's a good distortion pedal. So, this is the Dark Matter by itself. It's all controls at noon, with the gain at about 1 o'clock. Back to the APE. Now, Dark Matter into the APE. Just the Dark Matter. You may be thinking you wouldn't really strum open chords with a distortion pedal, but you know, whatever. The point being, I think that the more gain you add, the worse the APE sounds. So if you're using it as a signal booster, to me, this is just my opinion, it sounds best completely clean. Now, let's explore it as a delay pedal. Again, you're looking for a digital delay set to 100% wet and a single repeat. If you're using a conventional rig where you're not controlling everything through a fancy loop switcher and you've got your pedals set up in series, that can be a real limitation, because if you've got your delay pedal going through the APE, that's all it can do for you. Because I'm using the DD500, I came up with a little bit more complicated of a solution. Now the DD500 is a stereo delay, but I only play in mono. So what I did was create a patch that is 100% wet on one side, and then I ran the output from that one side into the APE. The other side I use for all of my other patches, so I can still use the DD500 as my normal delay pedal or specifically run it through the APE. I control that with my Boss ES8 switcher. So you have to have the APE on, and then here's with the delay. Now the timing, maybe you can see on the screen, is set to 400 milliseconds. and that is controlled by the DD500. So that gives you some great things like tap tempo. Now that sounds really good. That is a good sounding delay. And this is where your controls come in. So I can control the number of repeats from the APE. Now they say in the documentation to watch how much you turn the repeats up because it gets out of control, and I'll demonstrate that now. So hopefully you can see in the screen there, after about 2 o'clock, it gets pretty uncontrolled. Now, your rec level and your mix control the character of your delay repeats. Not your original note, but your repeats. So if I increase the rec, you can make your repeats cleaner or dirtier. Now, some people absolutely love that sound. That is the delay sound that they are going for. I'm not an Echoplex purist. Also, if you've got a multi-function digital delay, chances are it has a tape-style delay in it. So, I spent a few minutes setting up kind of a tape-style delay in the DD500. Now, I didn't try to make this sound exactly like the APE, but I came up with this. Now you can hear that's very different, especially in the character of the delay repeats. Go back to the APE. Back to the DD500. And this is where we start to get into what exactly do you want out of your effects. In my opinion, the APE sounds better than what I came up with for a tape sounding delay on the DD500. But the DD500 tape sounding delay is just fine for my needs. So what are my final thoughts on the APE? I'm really torn on this one. It's a great pedal. It sounds great, but it has limitations. One, I think it only really sounds good clean. And I like to play with heavy overdrive and distortion. That's just what I enjoy. And I don't think it sounds very good with overdrive and distortion running into it. Now, their instructions say that you can run overdrive and distortion through the effects loop of the APE. And I'm sure that you can, but you cannot do that and do the Echoplex style delay. It's not really a multi-function pedal. You get one or the other. Also, if you don't have a stereo delay like I'm using, where you can do fancy routing tricks, it's going to take your normal delay pedal and turn it into that one sound. And if that's the sound that you want, then maybe it's worth it. I have to think that the target audience is primarily going to be people that already have a digital delay and they really want to get an Echoplex style delay. Now for those people, especially if you play clean, this may be a great pedal. As for me, I've experimented with this pedal for about 4 months now, and I don't think it's going to be staying on my board. And that doesn't mean it's a bad pedal. I believe that almost every pedal is a good pedal in the right context. But it doesn't really fit the contexts that I have, and I have limited space on my board just like everybody, so I'll probably be taking it off and replacing it with something else. So that's my overview of the Rockett Archer Analog Preamp Experiment pedal. It's a great pedal if you want to get that sound, but only if you've got a good digital delay that'll do 100% wet. I hope that you found this video interesting. I'm experimenting with some new camera angles and setups, and I've looked at some of the footage and see that my arm is blocking a lot of the shots, for which I apologize. I will continue to get better as these videos go on. In the meantime, thank you for watching. I've been Reed, and this has been Man Cave Guitar Pedal Mania.